Thank you again for connecting with today's The Reframed Brain podcast episode. This is Erica Savage, the founder and host, extending a personal invitation for you to join our community where you can receive my 5 best brain health tips and a playlist curated with you in mind. Please go to thereframedbrain.com. Thank you again and be well.
Well, happy Monday. Today is May 1st, 2023. I am Erica Savage, the founder and host of the Reframed Brain podcast and wellness community. And I'm so excited that you are connecting on today, which is Mental Health Awareness Month. Yes, Mental Health Awareness Month. I hope that if this is your first time, perhaps listening or viewing the podcast, that you would take an opportunity and go to the reframebrain.com. There you will receive my 5 best brain health tips and a playlist curated with you in mind. So, what we're going to be doing on the first Monday of every month is something starting new, which we're going to be talking about mindset over Mondays. That is actually a weekly newsletter distributed by the Reframe Brain. So, again, if you go to the reframebrain.com, you can make sure that you get engaged and your mindset is greater than your Mondays. What that whole feature is about is really showcasing Monday as being an excellent and optimal way to reset your traditional work week. People have work weeks that start on a variety of days, but we've heard certain expressions like having the case of the Mondays, which is not in a positive way, or having the Monday blues. I myself view Mondays as being an excellent opportunity to reset the traditional work week. And I just overall really do love and embrace Mondays. However, what mindsets are greater than Mondays is really about is making sure that instead of taking the case of the Mondays, instead of accepting having the Monday blues, making Monday being a tone setting day for you for the rest of your week. So, whether it is a work week, whether it is a week where you have flexibility, whatever Mondays look like for you, taking control of that narrative, shifting that narrative, and really coming out of agreement with what across the globe Mondays are seen as. So it is mindsets are greater than Mondays. It is a weekly newsletter. It has great brain health tips delivered to your inbox, very short, very sweet, to the point, not wanting to clog your inbox. But I would highly encourage if you have not connected with the Reframe Brain community, this is an optimal time to do that at thereframebrain.com. Now, as I just mentioned before, every first Monday of the month, instead of me talking to a guest, you're going to get about a 7 to 10 minute conversation just with me and talking about really issues specific to brain health and unseen injuries, which is the focus of the Reframe Brain podcast. So, one of the things I wanted to really lay to bear with you as we move into Mental Health Awareness Month, which this month is, whether or not you have a diagnosis specifically, it does not keep you out of this conversation. Mind, body health, gut, all of that includes us. And as we are still in the pandemic, we know, and I have repeated this continuously, that the pandemic brought with it significant numbers of people that were suffering with stress, suffering with anxiety, depression, and what the American Medical Association coined the term coronasomnia, which are sleep disturbances specific to COVID-19 coronavirus, the virus that causes it. So that term coronasomnia. And as you may continue to learn, as we've talked about here on the Reframe Brain podcast, that having adequate, proper sleep, depending on your age group, that means that, babies have a certain amount of sleep that they need for their growing and thriving bodies and immune systems. Adult children and adolescents do. Excuse me. Then we move into the adult category that's 18 up until about the 60 age range. And then those that move into the 60 plus category require different levels of sleep because our bodies, our minds, things are constantly changing in our bodies. So as we look at sleep hygiene, as we look at sleep health, as we look at brain health, as we look at the gut, as we look at all things that impact mind, body, soul, spirit, we want to be cognizant of whether or not a person has a diagnosis because things have changed across the globe. Then there are things that definitely have changed within us. So, one of the things that we're going to talk about today specifically are a few ways that you can improve your mental well-being, just what you can do in within yourself. So I have this disclaimer that is made plainly on all of my sites and on my podcast. I want to let you know that I am not a therapist. I am not a licensed practitioner. I am not a doctor. What I am giving you is specific to my lived experiences over the past 2 years. I am a former political executive for those that may be new to me. And I was hit twice by an 18-wheel truck in March of 2021 while traveling for work. That rendered me a polytrauma patient, having sustained a traumatic brain injury. And so I was under the care of 9 practitioners, currently under the care of 4 practitioners still, and very grateful for that. So, what I'm sharing with you are specific to my own lived experiences, thus my expertise, the thousands of hours that I have poured into rehabilitating, actively recovering from my brain injury, which is still, as I said, active. It is an ongoing process. What I am sharing with you is what I have gained through my practitioners, what I have gained through my own experiences, what I have adopted from my own life as a person that survived and is living through a brain injury. So when we talk about those things specifically that will help improve our mental health and well-being, I want to talk about just 5 things, and do feel free to jot these things down or replay them so that you can take note of those. Number one is relationships. So you want to connect with people who authentically enjoy listening and conversing and spending time with you. What we find out is that, when people, you hear more and more conversation about energy, you want to connect with people who not only want to talk but also want to listen, and that do have a real curiosity and enjoy being around your time, being around you, and they enjoy the time that you all have together. You want to make sure that you're watering that garden that's in your brain, to make sure that you're stimulated in a positive way. So, connecting with good people, forming good relationships is divine for brain health. And you may say, well, Erica, I have some friends, but would love to get engaged with community who authentically enjoy being around me, who authentically enjoy your company, who authentically like you and want to be around you. So if you don't have those communities or you want to build those communities, a couple of suggestions that I have, look around to see, first, look at what your interests are. If you have an interest in gardening, if you have an interest in working out, if you have an interest in knitting, crocheting, crossword puzzles, sewing, things that you genuinely have an interest in. If you enjoy reading books, if you enjoy stargazing, whatever your interest is, go on the internet and Google those things, or go on TikTok, which is a search engine that some of the that Gen Zers use, that they like because it's very tailored and specific to their likes and interests, on a search engine that you trust, and Google in those interests that you have and see within your specific and local community, are there people that are already meeting up that are involved in those activities? And if they're not, well, then you be the person that be the arbiter of your own happiness and your connectivity. And why don't you start a group? Maybe it could be an online group and you all meet in person once a week, once you feel comfortable doing that. But connecting with good people is always an exciting and very valuable way to improve your brain health. Another thing that is a good way to improve your mental wellness and well-being is being physically active. Um, it doesn't matter the age group that we're in. We want to make sure that we are taking these bodies that we have, that we're not taking them for granted. So It's not a competition, right? So what someone may be doing to your left, your right, your front, behind you is not the goal. It is the goal for you to be in good physical health. So it is recommended that we do at least 20 to 30 minutes of physical activity a day. You may be saying, well, Erica, for my job, I walk a lot, I park my car far enough so I can get my steps in, or I move around a lot for my job. Well, those are all great and wonderful things. Those are things that you're doing in connection with your personal labor. But actually getting out and physically being active, meaning that you if you have a bike, if you have a row machine in the house, and if you don't have any of those things in the house, maybe turning off the television. And if you have a hula hooping for a little while, that is a great physical activity. It gets the body moving and active. If you have a jump rope, and you are physically able to jump rope without harming yourself, particularly if you don't have any balance issues, jumping rope is a really good way. Going outside and taking a walk. It has been proven by researchers and doctors that walking is such a wonderful, moderate exercise, and that it absolutely improves, decreases your likelihood of having heart disease, which is prevalent in specific communities. So, getting outside, walking, if you say, well, Erica, where I walk is not safe, doing something inside of your home and perhaps opening up the window while you do that, opening up, your balcony, opening up a door that has a screen to it where you feel safe, or getting a partner and walking. But for those who enjoy hiking, doing something for 20 to 30 minutes, as I said again, it is not a competition. If somebody is exercising 6 7 days a week, I definitely do not recommend that, because our muscles actually do need time to rest. So, doing 4 to 5 days a week is great. However, when you do exercise, if you can do that in company of another person, the mall is a great place to walk. If you feel comfortable walking at the mall and having a group of friends, do that, or maybe one walking partner. But please be physically active outside of your normal labor. Um, Skill set. So it's always great and helps with brain preservation to learn a new skill. Be that crocheting, as I mentioned before, perhaps sewing, if that's something that you might be interested in learning. Playing a musical instrument. I'll just share with you, I'm very much so looking into buying a violin and learning how to play the violin myself. It's not to be featured in an orchestra or a symphony. It is something simply for me, something I've been interested in doing for quite some time. So I'm doing the research, learning scales that are great to practice, piano, dance. There are so many different things, painting, drawing. I took a drawing class last summer at one of the local community areas here for 6 7 weeks, for I think it was 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, and it was just a new skill, something I really wanted to challenge myself in, and I really did find enjoyment in that. So learning a new skill at your local community centers or community colleges, they often have classes where they're not specific for a degree, but it is a class that you can take in order to really challenge yourself and to have to study for something and take a test, something that keeps that cognitive health sharp. And then you may meet a friend or two. So always opportunity there. Number four, um, excuse me, along with the other things, that you maybe want to be involved in some volunteerism. So at your local hospital or perhaps a nursery, I've shared with you all my love of plants since my brain injury and have assumed over 50 plant babies now that I have. I love them all, nurture, care for them. So perhaps if you could volunteer, or you think that you'd be a good fit at a nursery if they have volunteer opportunities there, volunteering, or at a hospital, volunteering at a hospital, anywhere that you feel very comfortable, and that is a tithe of your time. Get involved, and that is a great way to help to improve your mental well-being. And then The final thing is something that I take great pleasure in doing. It is something that has been so beneficial for me. I've noticed myself being such an improved person um, around all over is being present. And that's also called mindfulness. And mindfulness simply means, as I just said, being present in the moment. You know, years before, well, before my accident, I really thrived in calling myself a multitasker. And I just want to say to you, multitasking is a false because the brain can only focus on one thing at a time, which is why we talk about the reframe brain, taking one beautiful breath at a time. The brain can only focus on one thing at a time. So, so there are things that we can do at, multiple things at one time, but the whole piece about multitasking is actually a myth. So, being very mindful, being present, being focused, I know that it has made me a much better human, a much better person, a very much so tuned in, connected individual. And I value and appreciate that about myself. And that is something that I'm looking to draw more into people who are very much so present with me, connected with me. It's not all one sided. And so I say to you, to improve your mental health and well being, practice mindfulness. So a simple activity is when we wake up in the morning, there's usually a routine that we have, whether or not we recognize it. Either we're reaching for our cell phones, we're speaking to our partner, or we immediately begin to think about the day before us. Being present means that once you wake up, just taking a pause and really taking in that moment. Um, and just being very grateful and thankful for that moment. Sometimes when we wake up, we're waking up in, using our bathrooms. You wake up, use your bathroom, you come back, maybe get into bed. And so once you do that, take an opportunity to just pause for a moment, notice your breath, be thankful. One of the things that I recommend in my brain health tips that comes free when you sign up for the Reframe Brain .com, when you sign up at subscribe to the reframebrain.com, is keeping your blinds, your window treatments, keeping that open just a bit, so that when you wake up in the morning, the sun is kissing you, the light is kissing you. Let that serve as a reminder of that you're here, you're alive, you're present for another day. And I have to say that this is something that helped me tremendously, particularly in the early days of my brain injury when I didn't want to be here a lot of the days. So, doing things that really make us take a look, pause, are wonderful, wonderful ways to practice mindfulness. And you can do this throughout the day, which is something that I do sometimes. And before we end out, this happens more often than not. I actually turn off all my devices, both of my phones, shut everything down, and I just get quiet. It gives me opportunity to just be present with the moment. And sometimes the moment is not about me. I may hear birds having the most pleasant conversation. I may notice something in the environment that I'm in that I didn't notice before. I may hear something that I've not heard before. I may smell something that I've not smelled before. It gives great opportunity to just really take in. And so, for a person that was married to or wed to both of their devices for a significant period of time, I really do take great joy in really moving myself away from devices and being present for the moment. So, those are your 5 tips for improving your mental health and well being, improving. And as always, if there's someone that you think that you need to be talking with to help to improve your mental health and your mental well-being, please take solace in reaching out to your practitioner if you don't have one, perhaps get some recommendations from friends so that you can improve your health, your mental well being in the way that best fits you. So, thank you for joining me on this Mindset is Greater Than Monday. We will do this every first Monday of the month. And if you subscribe to the reframebrain.com, you will get that newsletter deposited into your inbox every Monday, something short and sweet, something that will definitely give you a brain health tip and hope to carry you through the week to shift from the Monday blues to the welcome Monday because the mind is greater than Mondays. Thank you so much for connecting with the Reframe Brain. Would love to have you a part of the community, the Great Reset. If you subscribe, you get that newsletter. I give you a link where you can join the community and get interactive with what we're doing on a weekly basis. So great to be in community with you, friends. Please like or share this. And thank you so much for joining. And remember, the Reframe Brain Center's brain health and unseen injuries. And we do this work. We are on this journey, one beautiful breath at a time. Be ready for the May 15th episode of the Reframe Brain podcast featuring the incomparable Dr. Mustafa Santiago Ali, someone who has talked to presidential administrations, members of Congress, has had great leverage with Fortune 500 companies and many, many community members. You don't want to miss it. We're going to be talking about the intersection of environmental and social justice and how those unseen injuries greatly do impact us, mind, body, and spirit. Thank you so much for connecting. And I'll see you in your inbox on Mondays. Be well, everyone. Bye.